Good morning, everyone. As I can see, there are already many participants here, so I guess we can start right away and right in time. First of all, a happy and very warm welcome to everyone. I'm really glad to see so many people being interested in how we use image recognition and crowdsourcing at the point of sale. I'm Kim, I'm working in the marketing department of POSpulse, and I'm here to inform you about some general things in the beginning. So first of all, the webinar will be recorded, so no worries if you don't get anything, if you don't get to note anything, or if you have to drop out earlier. Within the next days, you'll receive the recording, including German subtitles and or slides as well, so you can look up everything again later. And secondly, whenever you have questions, just drop them in the Q&A box. We will collect and sort them and answer them in the end. And after a webinar, moreover, we'll create a blog post containing all the questions and answers. So here you can look up everything as well, and we will notify you once the blog post is live, so you won't miss it. And yeah, that's already enough from my side. Now I'm going to hand over to our experts, Elena from POSpulse and Dorigo from Vispera. Here you go.
Thanks, Kim. So welcome also from my end. My name is Elena Bergmann. I'm the CEO of POSpulse, and I'm very, very looking forward to speaking about the combination of image recognition and crowdsourcing today.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Kim. I would like to also thank you, everybody, just participating today and sharing their time with us. So I'm Dorigo. As the Director of Business Development and Marketing in Vispera, I will be trying to answer any kind of questions you might be having for the image recognition technology and what kind of solutions we will be able to provide you in the sector. So.
Perfect. So maybe let's get one or two steps back for those of you who haven't had the chance to partner with us. Who is POSpulse? So we are a European crowdsourcing company, and basically what we do is that we use the power of community. So we have about 800,000 app users in Europe that we then enable with technology. So with our Street Spotter app, as you can see, and our platform to help companies to better market their products. So companies might be retailers, but also, of course, brands and agencies. And all in all, this concept is known as crowdsourcing.
For the ones that might be also seeing the Vispera the first time, so Vispera is a company delivering image recognition technology, and with the help of this technology, we are providing our clients in the consumer packaged goods and grocery retail area the data and insights they are missing from the selling floor. We are currently operating in with more than 30 brands actually globally, and already operating in more than 20 countries, including Germany.
Perfect, but enough said about us, Dorigo. Let's jump into the agenda. That's what we are all here for. So first of all, we would like to speak about the relevance of technology in the area of field force and retail intelligence. So here we will give you a few stats, some trends that we see in the market, and also from our conversations with customers, of course. And then it will go in a very practical direction. So we will speak about how to leverage ideally the perfect store execution, and we will also explain how it works, right? So how does the concept and the technology behind image recognition work, and how can you even scale it by combining it with crowdsourcing? In the end, as mentioned, there will be a Q&A session. Don't worry, it will be only written if you want, where we will try to answer most of your questions. But speaking of questions, before diving into the topic, we would like to hear some of your thoughts, or better read some of your thoughts. So we thought it's, as we saw in the participant list, that we have many experts also here on board, that it might make sense to also hear your opinion, or to get an insight on where do you stand at the moment. So we prepared 4 short questions, and would be very thankful for your opinion here. So let's go ahead with the first question. So the first question is, how did your field force strategy change in the last 5 years? Did you extend it, your internal field force? Did you reduce your internal forces? Did you maybe even outsource all of your activities to external parties? Or you don't work with field force at all in your company? So let's wait a few seconds until everybody woke up. Perfect. So hope we're getting enough feedback. Let's see. Okay, that's somehow also surprising. So more than 40% said that they extended their internal field force. About 1/3 outsourced it to other parties. And but we also have combined about 25% of companies that say you reduced it, or even you don't work with field force at all. Cool. Next question. How did your need for point of sale insights, meaning shelf tracking, promotion checks, so basically in-store audits, change in the last 5 years? Do you require more information from the point of sale? Or maybe it was quite stable, so it hasn't changed? Or you require less information that you rely upon from the POS? So also here, very curious. So we spoke about your resources or your impression of the resources. Now it's about the need for insights. Okay, I think this is quite, unique or homogeneous, I would say, your feedback. So it's about 90% say it's you require more info. And for some of you, it hasn't changed. So definitely the minority saying it's you require less information. And now the next question. Is your company using any sort of artificial intelligence with regard to shelf tracking? So with regard to gathering the information, do you use anything? Yes, no, or maybe might also be that you're not part of this specific decision group or team, that you're not sure about it. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Okay, so here we have 2/3 saying no artificial intelligence in place. Might also be the reason why you're joining, that you're interested to hear more about it, as it's not very well known or not implemented yet. Cool. And the last question. What do you think about image recognition? So automated shelf tracking for example, for share of shelf purposes, for distribution, planogram compliance? Do you think it's useful? Do you think it's too much effort to implement? Do you think, or maybe you're not convinced at all that it even works, or you never thought about it? All right. I think this is the most interesting one, right, Duygu? Okay, so yeah, this is already positive, I would say. So still a few people to convince. That's also good. So accepting this challenge, but the majority, actually 60%, already thinks that it might be useful. For any challenges that you might face. So thanks for participating. This is always helpful to get some insight into this topic. And now let's jump right into the topic. So I think even though I just learned that many of you even extend the field force, your internal field force, I think what we all can agree upon is that it has become very expensive, or at least the impression of it is that it is very important. Not even if you look at the store visit price itself, but especially if you look at the inefficient time, right? The time spent in the car. Here we have a calculation for one sales rep per year that is about 1,000 hours, which is, of course, crazy if you even look at your own time, right? So a lot of inefficiency, I would say here, unfortunately, in the process. But on the other hand, and this is definitely something that is often neglected from our point of view, is also the salespeople perspective, right? The perspective from your own field force. Because as you can see in this chart, yes, of course, there has to be a drive for efficiency. So of course, the goal is to visit as many stores as possible. However, as we see, and this also is reflected in this stats, is that it often leads to excessive time pressure, right? That of course the retail managers, the salespeople are not confident anymore about their jobs, because it has become such a liability to visit so many stores and so on, that it has a negative effect. And as you can see, it does not only have a negative effect on motivation of people, but of course also on the outcome, on the interaction with the customer. And this is actually the part where everybody loses. So not only the management, the company, also the salesperson, because I guess it's not fun to be under pressure the whole time, but also the customer, because the customer also doesn't feel really cherished in this moment, or doesn't feel like the time spent with the salesperson is really valuable. So also definitely very interesting to mention, of course, this perspective as well. The objectives still remain the same, right? So I think one of the worst scenarios is out of stock. Everybody of you and us know that it's very expensive to have us out of stock in the market, as shoppers immediately switch to other products or even to other retailers. On the other hand, you have very excellent teams in the headquarters, right? The category management, but also My Perfect Store and so on. So people, experts that really know how the category should be placed, how the category should look like for the interest of the whole, basically, but how to actually ensure that it's happening in the market, right? How to really measure that it's executed in the end. And also, of course, the visibility, right? So it's always about visibility, especially if we think about promotions. It's always about standing out in a saturated market, and with the final goal of making everybody happy here in the circle, I would say. So not even the end user, not the consumer, but of course the retail partner, the brands, the teams, the field force, So it's definitely a huge challenge, I would say, given the circumstances at the moment. And this is also another fact that we found. Nothing surprising, I would guess. Of course, the last year has been challenging, but it also enables companies to think about new ways of thinking, right? About adoption, about using technology. And here it was quite interesting for us because first of all, we looked at digitization in supply chain. So here is the survey about companies and how they changed maybe, or how they implemented digitization. And there has been some acceleration, as we can see, but not as much to my surprise. So maybe the potential is not even as big as in other areas, or it is already quite automated. But I think what stands out here is that there is a strong focus into automation and artificial intelligence itself. So about 70% of companies have accelerated the strategy, especially with regard to artificial intelligence. All in all, this is what we can agree upon. So productivity is always a factor, especially as, when we look at the costs. From your survey results, I think this was really homogeneous, all your opinion that the amount of insights or the need for insights is still very strong and increasing. But also not to forget the field force motivation, right? So people that you have on board, the ones that you have, or that one that you would like to hire, it's also important to keep the good ones for your company. And this is definitely another challenge, or what might even be improvable in this concept. So why we are here, right? So we're here also to give you some insights on how image recognition and crowdsourcing can actually help to leverage those challenges. I think the most obvious one, as we're speaking about automation, is to of course make manual processes more efficient, or even eliminate where possible, but also to scale your visits, to scale what's happening outside and increase the coverage. But it's also about finding new potential. It's about detailed shelf tracking and also smart reporting, not only for the field force managers in store, but for the whole company, right? To ideally spread this information internally in a smart way, and creating competitive advantage out of it. And the last important point is which has to do with motivation of people, retention of people, is of course better usability, to provide a tool to field force managers, to sales reps that they actually like, that they that is easy also to use, of course, in order to enable them to actually focus on value-based services, mainly the interaction with the team. Yeah, so coming from this, from those insights and also your feedback, I think now it's time to speak about the technology, Duigo.
Yeah, thank you, Elena. I think when you were just putting all this together, we see that it is a really challenging environment, right? We need more insights from the field, but we need to stay competitive. We need to, boost our field force on the field, but then again, we need to also start finding smart ways to do it in an efficient way, right? So I will of course try to show you where we stand and how really we can help about it. And let me just initiate. So when we say image recognition, actually what we are talking about in our vertical. So we say that the technology we have would be just helping you with receiving data from the field and then turning it into some actionable insights, right? So, by the way, I'm just trying to control the screen, and just a second, it's not helping. Okay, perfect. So, so it all starts with data collection, and in the senses that we talk about data, what we mean basically is simplifying this data collection by only just capturing images from the field. And how we are just capturing those images, it could be that the mobile agents already in the field delivering some jobs, could be just collecting these images by using Vispera application or POSpulse application or any other field force application that you are using or your third party is using. Or these images can be collected on a real-time basis by the fixed cameras that are mounted on the shelves, right? And then once those data is collected from the selling floor, then we will be Okay, so we will be receiving those, and then the recognition will initiate it. So what it means is any kind of visual asset that we will be having within the images that are received. It could be your products, it could be your equipment, display equipment that are just branded and you want to track them. As Elena was just stressing out, it could be your promotions that you want to ensure their visibility. So any kind of visual asset that you would have will be undergoing the recognition. And of course, this technology will be basing itself in deep learning. So therefore, we know that those visual assets will be, the engine will be taught and it will be learning those visual assets in order to, define them, detect them, and then turn them into actually some KPIs. So those KPIs would be very much dependent on how you would like to measure your success in the retail execution, right? It could be your perfect store execution, or it could be any kind of scorecards that you want to ensure, or it could be simply just measuring your availability or distribution. Yeah? So those will be turned into KPIs. And then of course, we know that you already are receiving, some data from there, some data from somewhere else, but we know that those should be really meaningful for you. So, so that you can really take some actionable insights. That's why after receiving this information, we will be just providing you either from a dashboard for the back office supervisors to really monitor what is going on in a smart way, or for the field agents on the fields to their mobile phones, so that they can really see what kind of call to actions are just, or the tasks that they should be taking on the spot, right? So when we go a little bit further and deeper in the recognition part, what we're talking about is, let's just consider that this is the real image that we are receiving, and it is just a shelf, a regular shelf in the modern trade from a personal care area. So those images will be captured, and then we, after receiving it, with the deep learning and with the deep learning, the recognition would be able to, first of all, identify those products, right? So it will be detecting, first of all, and then identifying them according to what kind of unique identity they have. It could be that it is a shampoo with 30 milliliters. It could be that it is a, beer bottle, or any kind of product will be then defined on the product level. Or if you don't have the product level information, it could be that it is defined on the brand level. So it is only brand A, but we don't know the specifics of the product. But those will be identified on particularly uniquely depending on the scene we are receiving. And then this identification will be then showing actually how the real shelf on the field can be digitized into so-called realogram. So then each and every product that you are seeing on the shelf will be then coming in front of you in the dashboard. Then you can really feel like as if you're in the store and you're really monitoring those with a digital form. And this will also provide you the ease of comparing what was your ideal planogram, what was in the first place that you want to just, show off and build your category around, and then whether the reality is really compliant with it. No? So as I was talking about really visual assets, so it means that we are not only talking about the products, but we're talking about all the assets that you're using visually to, communicate with your shoppers, with your customers. So in this case, it could be that you are trying to ensure your planogram compliance. So maybe you have a software to build in the stores, but it could be that you don't have a software, but you have a set of rules, like ensuring that your brand block is there, ensuring that some of your key SKUs or new launches are standing next to each other, right? So it means that we can really convert this into a visual task. It could be that you have cooler, that you want to ensure that, okay, my beers are standing within this cooler really nicely. And it is my own cooler, it is my branded cooler. So I want to ensure that the products are all my brands that are just standing there. And whether your equipment quality is still good, whether the lights are on in your equipment, right? Because those are really critical for your shopper to really make the decision for buying your products. Then any other material, like the branding materials that you want to show, or any display equipment for promotion purposes, could also be covered as a visual task. And of course, whether your products were available, whether your must-have products, your power products, or your new launches were available, very well distributed, and whether they were visible for your shoppers. And of course, another important thing is whether they were displayed with the proper prices that you wanted them to be displayed, so that we can really check, okay, my shelf pricing are actually executed properly, and my shoppers would really find the correct price underneath my product, right? So in a nutshell, we know that these are the really important communication points for you. So we need to ensure those are very well distributed, very well visible, and your customers are seeing you there, right? And let's see then how we can really turn this into some set of solutions. So from what perspective you can utilize them, because you were just saying, yeah, some of you were just improving your, increasing your field force, boosting your field force, but some of you were like citing outsourcing them. So in this kind of a world, what kind of solutions can be helping you, right? Let me just show you a quick video in a sense. If I can, yes. Yeah. So yes, there are many different cases where we can really build some set of solutions for you. But if I'm sorry if you were not able to properly watch the video because of the connections, but let me just briefly tell you, okay, there might be, depending on your use case or depending on your success criteria for your execution or the strategy that you're running. It could be that we are providing you different solutions and we are just utilizing those. Maybe you already run a perfect store program together with your field force. So in this case, we can really quantify your merchandising together. Or it could be that you want to have some information about your category players, about your competition on the market. So how we can really provide those competitive intelligence to you by maybe, providing you some price indexing compared to them, by also telling you what kind of shelf space you are having in this environment. But also, as we were just talking about teams, field forces, we know that their performance is really good because you might have really lots of nice strategies that you want to see on the field, but they are the ones actually executing them. So we need to, first of all, really see that they are performing the best, and then we need to see that they are motivated, so that they know they are fairly evaluated in terms of their performance. Yeah. So this could be some, different angles that we can consider implementing in the floor. Yeah. So if we just also now go to the next slide. Okay. Thank you, Elena. I know you're helping there. Speaking of, set of solutions and, technology, we know you have many different tools that you're already using. In terms of your sales force automations, or monitoring your execution. But what we know is you would also need, within this challenging environment, you would also need something really smoothly flowing, something fully integrated, so that we can provide you this set of solutions with an end-to-end principle. So in this case, we have been working with POSpulse already for many years, and we have a smooth integration. So in terms of receiving the data, but also providing some output about it. But it is not only us integrated, then we can also integrate with any kind of internal systems you have. It could be the inventory management systems you are using, or it could be your sales force automation. But we also know, while doing such things, while providing solutions, while integrating, we need to act really quick, because we are talking about a fast-moving sector. So then we are also focusing on being really agile and speedy on this kind of implementations, and trying to really be on the field, providing you these solutions within a really short time. So for those ones who were just having a little bit question marks in terms of the implementation, so we can really ensure you that we are really acting agile on this to provide you this up and running within a really very short time. Right. So what we are talking about here is what kind of a life cycle we are talking about is, yes, that could be your field force already collecting data. And we know that you want to ensure that they are not spending their valuable time by really, counting the facings of your products or your competition. So we need to simplify their life by just replacing it with image capturing. And this could be also combined with, if you have any kind of, challenges with your field force coverage, then it means that we can also combine this data collection with the help of some crowd that is just provided by the POSpulse community, or it could be that we can combine this with any other third party that you are currently using. Then all those insights that we are gathering will be then converted into some meaningful actions. So your field force could be just fed with some insights about your power SKU availability right on the spot, or whether their pricing were correct or not right on the spot, so that they can really take the actions, the corrective actions there. And similarly, with a real-time basis, on a daily basis, you will be fed with this data as well, to understand, okay, from a monitor, simply to understand, okay, how am I doing on the field, whether my, new product launches were very well distributed, whether they were penetrated in the primary segments that I was wishing for, and etc. In a remote way. But then if you see something is wrong, it means that by monitoring this on a real-time basis, you will also have a chance to convert this into some insightful actions. And this is something like really, really flowing like end to end, so that you can feed back these actions into the field force again with this integrated approach. Yeah? So for the monitoring, what we are talking about is, yeah, we will be providing you a dashboard, but you have many dashboards. So in this case, the beauty of this one is that it will be providing you really top to bottom details. So first of all, you will understand, okay, how am I doing? But then you would be able to deep dive into some root causes, whether if my availability were really too low. So what might be the reason? Which of the stores or which of the channels I'm just having this issue? And then if it is just in some regions only, maybe it's only some teams. So for those team members that are just really having problems in terms of, ensuring the availability or visibility, you can really track it into the details, so that you can understand the root cause provided here, while staying competitive. So you need to also ensure that your shelf space is fairly distributed between you and your competition in the store. Yeah. And because we were also not majority, but minority was saying I'm not sure whether it works. So basically, with the experience that we had till now, we had the chance to validate this technology working in several different packed good categories, like starting from, hair care, shampoos, but also some consumer electronics like cell phone accessories, right? So as long as we're talking about some packed goods that are just standing there with their own identity, then it means that we are able to cover all these categories, and we are covering actually all these categories for different brands all over the world. And again, another beauty is that this can be utilized in any different channels that you want to have, like modern trade, traditional trade. Unfortunately, during the COVID time, on-premise is not really meaningful, but hopefully with the new normalization, we will be back in the hotels, restaurants, and if you have your branding there, you would also be able to receive some insights. And we also know the pharmacy or the drugstores are really important channel now, and you need to ensure that you are visible over the counter with your over-the-counter products. So in a nutshell, we will be able to cover your different channels or different categories with different display equipment that you are having on the market. Yeah, we are already working with many multinational companies that we can just further provide you some insights about. But I think I'm done with my part, Elena, and passing it back to you. Yeah.
Thanks, Duygu. So to close the bridge, right? So I think What we've seen for now is that there is a way of automating things. Sorry, a way of really creating efficiency within the current setup that you have. So within the current infrastructure, within the current field force management, and so on. So this is definitely a very good way to increase here the outcome. However, if you really want to scale, right? So if it's about, especially in critical situations like promotions that are really that are really short in terms of timing, then the solution can also be to integrate other resources on an ad hoc basis, right? So to, for example, work with communities, so with external crowds that especially perform easy and time-consuming tasks, right? Those tasks that are not of the biggest value, I would say, that are easily transferable, like documentation and so on. But it might also be that that within the same platform you want to dock on external agencies. Like I know some of the participants are also from agencies, so it's also an option to have one single truth, one platform where you have all data streams combined, and thereby to really scale your business and extend what's possible and extend the outcome. To sum it up, what is the joint value, especially from image recognition paired with crowdsourcing or other data streams? So first of all, of course, just the platform that you can use for different purposes, right? Like the platform where you have different data streams. Usually you might have one dashboard for one data source, another for the other. This is definitely not ideal. So this is definitely a unique and integrated way of handling your retail intelligence. And also, we would like to highlight that there were a few concerns that it takes a lot of effort and so on to implement such strategy. So the machine learning has improved a lot, of course, in terms of quality and so on. Guys from Vispera are doing a very good job within the last years to improve what's possible. But it's also about how adaptable is it. So one learning was also that standards are different among companies, right? So some companies calculate share of shelf totally differently than others. And a system needs to be automated, but it also needs to be agile in order to tailor it to your needs. And this is definitely the case. And if we pair it also with a customer-centric approach, meaning, for example, with our strong focus at POSpulse in the German and the European market, where we have had thousands of point-of-sale projects, and we know exactly how to deal with different retailers, with new channels and so on. It can be a very, very powerful tool to even think about use cases that are very specific to your needs. In the end, we would like to highlight that it's totally a holistic approach as well. So what you can see here, you might be focused on really the shelf part, right? The general shelf part to analyze complex shelf tracking. If you're part of the category management, this might be a huge focus for 2021. But as we've also seen, especially in the heat map video provided, you can even track shopper behavior. You can track the situation in store. So where is the best zone, I would say, where's the diamond zone in the shelf? Where are products picked and replaced the whole day? So to really understand not only the full shelf, but only displays with video technology, what's going on there, and to get some insights for your standards as well in reverse. But there's still an option to for those questions where a machine might not be able to help. For example, if we're thinking about very specific promotions, very ad hoc promotions, or the cashier zone and so on, where machine learning might not yet be able to assist, there's also a way to ask, right, to implement questions that are answered by shoppers. And especially, this is the last point here, if we're talking about field force, we are always talking about experts, like retail experts that have a very good eye for standards, but that are not shoppers anymore, right? Not consumers in this case. So whenever it's also valuable to have a shopper perspective in here, right? To have a feedback on new products, on how the promotion is perceived. This is also something that can be easily included within the flow and then showed in the very same dashboard. So just as a summary, as you can see, it can be really tailored to your needs, to your specific questions. It's easily implementable and very quickly from our experience and from how we really were able to enable standards here. So you saw 4 to 8 weeks. And yeah, and now I think the next step will be handing it over to our questions. Maybe Kin, you can outline a little bit. Do we have any questions from the community today?
Yes, we do. First of all, thanks to you, Elena and Dögo, for this information. I guess it helped a lot. And of course, there were coming questions in. So yeah, let's start right away. With the first questions, what was the first question? What are the main KPIs that your customers collect and analyze?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So from our, let's say, experience, of course, there are many different category dynamics or market dynamics. But let's say if you're talking about a beverage category, then it means that we're just really looking into the details of the cooler execution, whether the cooler were only having the own brands there, whether there were any alien categories there, whether the cooler were totally full, so there should not be any emptiness, empty spots in the cooler, or if you're talking about let's say a personal care category, then or in a modern trade, let's say, then we will be really focusing on availability of the products, their distribution, their comparison in terms of the share of shelf, the space management, and their placement on the shelves, like whether my key products were placed in the eye level, right? Or whether they were having some, horizontal or vertical, let's say, blocks. So it is more differentiating between the categories in the markets. But I would say overall, it is just around availability, visibility, if there's a planogram compliance, or if there are a set of rules compliance to those. And of course, what is very now, let's say, increasing as a demand is the price tag tracking, whether my shelf price is really compared to my listing price, whether it was compliant, so my product is placed with the correct pricing. Or not. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I hope this was a good answer for the question asker.
Yeah.
Then the second question, how do you avoid taking pictures of customers?
Mm-hmm. So maybe I can answer for our part, right? Whenever we include a community, so the Street Spotter app. So first of all, the simplest way is a briefing, right? To ensure that, to make sure that the community, but also maybe agencies and so on, that they know that they shouldn't do it, because of course the easiest way is to avoid it. But there's also another option. We have an automatic blurry feature in our system that automatically makes the person or especially the face not recognizable in this case. So even if there might be somebody in the background, we do not transmit any of this data, or it's not recognizable.
Thank you. The next question, whose gonna do this tracking? Is it the customer itself? Is it an agency or both?
It can be all parties together, actually. So it really depends. So I think the majority of our use cases that we have, it's usually the industry. So it's the brands that that might have like the bigger resources, I would say, or they already have the resources in terms of category management standards, in terms of planograms and so on. But as you saw in the video, so it's not only a monitoring tool, it's also an immediate in-store optimization tool. So it can be used by any field force, whether it's an agency or whether it's the company itself, or even retailers, right, that have own staff members in the stores, because the app itself and the Vispera app gives you immediate feedback within minutes to even 90 seconds, as I know, please correct if it's wrong, to identify where is potential on the shelf and where should I replace any products, and what is the ideal scenario to really compare realogram distribution and the planogram distribution. So really everybody can implement it.
And maybe a question fitting to this answer: is it possible to get the feedback directly during the visit in the shop?
Mm-hmm. Maybe Duygu, you can outline how it actually works.
Yeah, of course. So when the field agent is directly in the store and using most of the time our application, let's say, then they will be provided with a notification right on the spot with regarding the availability of the products. So of course, compared to a reference, so we are talking about here a must-have list that should have been available really in this particular channel, in this particular market segment, and then whether they were available. So the availability report or price information could be provided on the spot. And as Elena has mentioned, so the connectivity is one part which is important. So after the images are received in our site, we are talking about, on average 90 seconds of delivery for the images that we are receiving.
Thanks, Duygu. One more question: how sensitive is your recognition software when variants of products, like different flavors that look very similar, are placed in the shelf?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So basically, it depends on whether there are just differences that are visible, right? If you're talking about really the same color of bottle with only a small minor difference in the flavor name that is underneath, and it is really demonstrated really tiny, then yes, the engine might really have some confusions around that, right? And in this case, it will try to make the best guess, or if the confidence level is really low, then it might be just providing a brand level information rather than differentiating the product flavor or variance in this case, right? But if you're talking about really some visible differentiations and they're just we are not suffering from any adverse lighting conditions, then we would expect that the engine has enough of data and it can really differentiate in between. But I think it is really important to emphasize it should be something really visible so that the engine can really differentiate. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And then next question. Let me check. How is the quality of the results tracked?
So from our perspective, of course, not the importance is that not to first of all just providing a high quality, then not maintaining it. So this is something that we are really focusing on, that we maintain the quality. And we know that there are many products that could be changing throughout a life cycle, like there may be changing the pack shots and the design of it. Maybe you're keeping the product the same, but changing the codes or size and etc. So in this case, we need to really ensure that that the quality is maintained. So there are regular checks that are being done to really see whether to measure the engine performance, and then if there are some products that are not being defined, then to ensure that we complete our master data, our database accordingly, working with our clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe to add to that. So I think it depends which quality step is meant, right? So we have, especially if we integrate other parties, also like an unprofessional community. One quality aspect may be to ensure that the whole shelf is taken, right, in terms of photos. So here it's about a very good briefing about also checking each photo. This is what we do at POSpulse with every project that we have. So each and every photo is checked by a data analyst to make sure that there's not half a shelf missing, for example, or in the background also the gondola end is included and so on. So this is the first step, I would say, right? Making sure that the photos that are in there, that they are representable, they represent the full store. So here we have capabilities through manual processes, manual checks, and then the next phase is also we try to automate as much as possible, right? So we try to, for example, if the image is blurry and so on, in the Vispera app, you receive immediate feedback. If it's not good enough for image recognition, then it's very important for the field force managers to not go home and come back the next day because it was not good enough, but to immediately see, okay, the quality is not good enough for image recognition. I'll retake it right away, and then I can only upload it to the system, right? So there's also a quality optimization process when taking the photos. And then everything else that comes afterwards, it's basically machine learning, but also a very transparent results for our customers. So as you saw maybe in one or two screenshots, you will really receive a realogram. So you will receive, okay, this is what the machine detected, and here is your planogram. And you can really compare image by image. You will also see the original image and really understand how it works, and even maybe question when you think it didn't. And this is when the agility comes in place, right? When we also give feedback and include new measures in order to make sure that the quality level, the accuracy level that we want to have, and this is 96 and above %, that this is actually reached.
Okay, thank you. Then next question, what technical requirements we have for the cell phones? For what operating system is it? How much data volume for the data contract will be needed?
So for at least from our side, the application that we are using on the field, then it should be either Android or iOS. So it is just both supporting these operating systems, but also I think there's some within the Android, there's also Huawei brand that is not supported by the Google services. That's why we also have another version now that we are testing to support in the field. Yeah. Oh, I lost the second question. Sorry.
So maybe the data volume that you require. So for our app, there's also the possibility to connect either with Wi-Fi. So wait until Wi-Fi is available to upload, or to upload it at a later stage. So there are already measures in place to avoid, for example, low signal or maybe not the most advanced app technology or cell phone technology.
Okay, thanks. As it's 12 p.m. now, and we still have around 15 open questions, I guess we'll just pick one or two, and the others will be answered then on our blog post. Hope this is fine for everyone. So next question, quite interesting. Can you explain the price tracking more, please?
Sure. So basically the principle that we are having when we track the pricing is that the shelf pricing, the price tags are first being detected, and then the reading is happening. So in terms of the price itself, so if you're talking about a beer bottle that is just sold with, let's say, 2.3 euros, then you're just reading the 2.3 as the unit price of this particular product in the price tag. And then we are just comparing whether this particular price was standing under which product. And then we are able to provide you this information. Okay, for example, if it is a beer, that under this particular beer product, we have detected the pricing of 2.3. It could be that you would like to really compare it with your selling prices. You want to maybe measure the indexing of these products, then those indexings or comparison or compliance can be also done based on this raw data that is just received.
Okay, thank you. And then maybe the last question, what is needed to set up the analysis? Are you going to use real images or packed shots for the tracking?
So the setup would be just really building the configuration in terms of all the master data. It is just, product master data, their identity, and it should be accompanied with the pack shots, yes, in this case. And then if we are talking about really full coverage of the master data in terms of, different channels, different team members, the directors, or, the store hierarchy should be also displayed in the dashboard, then it means that we need to have, information about the stores, channels, and the hierarchy in the internal teams. And for the training purposes, then we would, of course, need some reference real images from the shelves. And we are just deciding on this, whether we're gonna, for example, collect these real images together, or whether they're already a library that you're having internally. Then it means that we can also make use of that library for the engine training. Yeah.
Maybe to add to that, from experience, we know, right, the own pack shots, the own SKUs are usually not a problem. You have them available anyway. However, when it comes to competition, right, to have also share of shelf relative KPIs, then the system is also able to work with logos. So with subcategory logos for sub-brands and so on. So it depends on the granularity that you like, but usually for most of customers, from our experience, is enough to track the competition on logo level, so on sub-logo level. So let's say Nivea Men, for example, might be an example. And this is already a good way to for example, compare share of shelf in a relative way and compare with your peers.
Well said.
Okay, thank you. Maybe just one more question, because we haven't touched that field yet. I guess it's a short question. Where is the data saved or hosted?
In the cloud service, from our perspective. So it's cloud.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you require further information on that, please reach out. So we fully disclose what we can, of course. But regarding cybersecurity and GDPR concerns, I think this is where the direction, the question is going. Of course, the current legislation has to be has to be followed. And so please reach out, and we can also, at the beginning of speaking about projects, we are happy to outline what we can from with regard to the data storage.
Okay. Well, thank you, Elena. Thank you, Diogo. I guess then there's nothing more left to say. As mentioned before, the other questions, you will find the answers on our blog in a few days, and we will notify you then. And yeah, as from my side, there's nothing more left to say. Is there anything from you, Elena, or you, Diogo? You want to add anything?
Yeah, I think a big thank you for the attention, and yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. I think many requests might be specific in your case, as we heard from the questions. I'm happy to discuss, or I'm happy. Our sales managers, of course, are also happy to discuss, if you're already in touch, this topic with you, and to show you some examples, maybe even a live demo for your category if required.
Yeah. Same here. I can only thank for the time and the attention. Yeah.
Yeah, then also from my side, nothing to add. Thank you. I hope we provided you some new information, and yeah, then it's time to say goodbye. Have a nice day, everyone, and stay safe. Bye-bye.